Hello, hello, beautiful friends. This is an important gathering here. This is a divine gathering of divine beings that you are. Today is a full moon. Divine Mother always aligns us with the cycles of nature. And I will tell you why. I have a lot of information to share today. I don't know how it's all going to come through, when I tap into these ethers. It's always like, whoa, all this you want me to share in half an hour? I don't know that I can do that, but let's see. And so, number one, we all came here to be actually anchoring the light of God into this world for a very specific reason. You can think of the world that we are focusing in right now. This is kind of, you would say, a fallen world. It's a world that fell from the fifth dimension into the third dimension. And I remember it. I remember being, in the fifth dimensional world and how it fell and what it meant for all of us. And there are several forces that actually made this happen, but also humanity then participated very willingly and easily in the unconsciousness and the perpetuation of it. So what we know to be sort of what we call normal, and you would say this is the typical human condition here, is very, very unnatural and really distorted from the original blueprint that we had before in the fifth dimension. So how it all happened, that's not important, but the thing is that we are here right now. Seems like we are here focusing in this fallen world, and fallen is a big word. Again, I'm not religious in any way, but sometimes I use these religious concepts. But it means we have a lot of unconsciousness, and human life force is wasted mainly. That's the vast majority of life force is actually wasted in complete unconsciousness. So again, don't take this personally at all. I'm talking generally, okay? It's really important. And so in general, the human being is very unconscious, takes life force as it comes, and creates very little out of it, but quite a bit of actually, we would say, entities that are not so nice. And so all the thoughts that a human being has, all the addictions that a human being has, the life force that is misused through so many different ways. But number one, it is really the mind, the emotion, but also the physical body itself, because, we are trapped in the world when these days, and I have to say it because I've seen the timelines, for example, pornography, to me, that's like the most genius, and I'm going to say it, demonic trap on this planet right now. It is misleading people in such a crazy direction. And I'm not anti-sexual being, not at all. I think true love can be expressed through physicality. But this is all by design. This has been designed by very, very nefarious beings. And of course, humanity willingly participates. And it's bigger than what we can imagine. So I've seen the demons behind this. And because I get to see these demons, I have to say this is no child's play. This is very misleading. What is it misleading humanity from? What is all of this misleading humanity from? It is misleading humanity from nature. And that is something that we need to say. The fact that these days people can have sex with a computer screen and do whatever they think that, nobody gets to see, it's actually taking us away from nature. Now, I only am saying it, I'm not a purist in any way. I think that we all should be able to engage in pleasure when it is based in love and based in our knowledge of nature, and to appreciate nature for what she offers. And so hopefully it's all coming across. So I was asked, of course, we are here on a mission. So when I'm asked to be on a mission, I come here. And so many different reasons. So one of the things that, I get to do, I travel into different timelines. And then I come back from these timelines and I'm supposed to share it as a voice online, not with a face, because the face doesn't matter. It's not about me at all. It's actually the information that should move humanity into better choices. And so it doesn't matter that I'm speaking it here to you specifically. It is spoken into the ethers, and in the ethers, we all can hear. Really, it's deep down. So when one person speaks this, it is available to all to actually tap into this. So thank you for being here and allowing me to actually transmit all of this. So with these different timelines, this is really mind-boggling. Humanity makes choices, as you know, not only individually, but unfortunately also as a collective. And some of the choices do not lead to greatness. all our choices should always glorify, and you can say God, glorify Divine Mother, glorify nature. If we, we all could easily say, every person in this world surely has a relationship with nature since they are of nature. And so why not to call Divine Mother nature? So if we have a relationship with her, then we know how to glorify that nature. The nature is bigger than the tree and the plant. The nature is all that is, also the divine nature. And so I was allowed and asked actually to travel into these different timelines. And I always mention these timelines are the results of human choices. And so I saw how 3 of these timelines are actually the fallen timelines where humanity doesn't make choices that promote life. But humanity also made one timeline possible, and that is the timeline that we came here to be for. That is the timeline of following and mimicking Mother Nature, realizing that is the path of love. It is the path of light. It is the path of goodwill. It is the path of deep, deep, deep caring. It is also a path of non-attachment to pleasures that would entrap our life force, but it is a path of freedom to enjoy life, to enjoy pleasure in a whole new way, to be sensual, and at the same time, to be completely dedicated to this amazing divine life. It's a very different way of doing it. Funny story. But the 3 timelines that are the fallen timelines, they all end up with the same result. And they are still available to humanity because, when you look at the world today, every single human being in this very moment is making a choice. And then the next moment, everyone's making a choice. We are not completely free yet because people are still making choices that do not lead to greatness. And so what these 3 timelines had in common, they were very similar actually, but they were 3 different, very specific timelines that I got to travel through. And it's interesting, they all end up with a complete destruction of humankind. And I'm not sharing it like doom and gloom. I'm sharing it so that you know how important your role is in this world. So please hear it through that lens. You are on the most important mission ever, 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 because this time it matters more than ever what we do with our life force. It matters more than ever how deeply we connect to our divine self. It matters more than ever how we share, how we care, how we gift, and all of it. So this is why I want to honor you today. I want to honor you for the most incredible choice you're making, and you are choosing your divine self. Sometimes we still have some imbalances inside. That's okay. We can conquer those because when we have our divine self, we can actually download the divine self fully and completely and say yes to our divinity, to say yes to clean internal operations, which means clean living within. It means the energy comes in and we give it an imprint of love, it comes out. And so these 3 timelines all end up with a complete destruction of humankind. But not only that, humans in these 3 timelines also managed to completely destroy the earth. Now, when I came into this lifetime, as a child, I had this ability to leave the body, travel to these higher realms, and to visit with the world that definitely was destroyed completely. And I think it's all by design to have this very emotional experience, every day for so many years in my childhood, constantly going to this world that was completely destroyed. And I was always wondering these days, and for a long time, was I just going to the future of the earth? And I cannot tell you that that's true or not, but there was a world that used to be so beautiful and it was completely destroyed by the unconscious use of force, life force, energy, and nothing was left behind. I mean, nothing, not even one little flower, not even a blade of grass, not a single being was able to be sustained on a destroyed world. And so that kind of informed my life, as you can imagine. And so I understood as like a 4-year-old kid the importance of oneness, because I could hear the Om sound, I could always hear it and I could see what's happening. So of course, just because you come as a child, it doesn't mean you are a child. It means you are a very large, unbelievably, incredibly huge being with a lot of knowledge, a lot of tools, and you do embody through this physical process here. So you have to be born as a child, but it doesn't mean it slows you down, really. And so, when I visited these fallen timelines, one of the things that was very interesting to me is that humanity gave up their bodies in a way. They disconnected from the true physicality. There was a lot of like artificial intelligence, but one of the things was interesting. I clearly saw that a lot of people would be just watching porn, and that would be their source of pleasure. And I was like, well, it's happening right now, so why are you even showing me this? This is not good news. But then there was that other timeline that was still an option, and it still is an option. And that's the timeline where humanity chooses this path of the mother. It really is the path of the mother. It is the path of the divine self. It is the path of nature. And she can change us. It is, amazing. It is amazing. And so I want to empower everyone to become a teacher in this world, to become a way shower, and not by trying to convince people like this is not a good idea what you're doing. No, we cannot. That no one ever changes their mind about anything like this, but you simply need to emanate the light of God into this world, and that's it. So I wanted to just say how important it is, the work that you do, because we are in a quantum field. This quantum field is like the movie Matrix. Lucrecia, thank you for being here. And so in this matrix that we are in, it's a quantum field that has distortions. So within this quantum field, we are made to believe that we have a personality, that we are this person, that we are in this body, and that we have that typical human mind. Now, today, we will be transforming that human mind and becoming consciousness. We want to be the consciousness of our divine self. So, one day, and again, long story short, I was told how important it is to actually be constantly aware of the light of God that is within us. So here we have a beautiful painting or, a creation by Daniel Hallman. This light is within us. It is not within artificial beings. There are some beings who are artificial. It is within us. We are divine beings. We have the divine self. We have our soul. We have our spirit. And if you want to understand how this all works, you are basically a being with many bodies. Now, if the person is completely just contracted, we know that they are not aware of their soul body. They are not aware of their spirit body. They are not aware of their divine self. But because you are aware, you play such an important role. I mean, imagine if there is still the possibility of fallen timelines, then you, with your choices in this quantum field, really make a huge difference. So Divine Mother has been speaking to us a lot about I wanted to show this. I was once told by the Mother of Light to do this, and that is to be anchoring the light of God into this world through this loop of infinity. So I recommend doing that as you walk, as you stand. Remember, you are running some incredibly divine energies through your open heart. Of course, that heart is the key. That's why in this world, in this quantum field, I've seen forces that deliberately actually shut the human heart. They try really hard to shut the human heart. I've seen forces that try to shut our life force and to actually take it. But again, that's, we are not weak. We are divine beings, and who is in their divine self and who is in love with the divine self, which is you. That's called self-love for the divine, actually. Then nothing can get to you. They can come, they always come. They always try to find a way. And again, it should not be scary. I've just seen so many demons in this world, and I always say, wow, those guys, they try really hard. But the thing is that if you claim that your heart is filled with love for the divine self, There is no room for anything else, you know, no room for anything else. It should be so easy, because once you get the taste of your true divinity, you say no to everything else. So we are anchoring the light of God. We are anchoring the light of Source. We are anchoring the light of Divine Mother into this world. We are on a mission here. You know, when you are on a mission, you are on a mission. It's like, I'm not a human being. I'm sorry. I'm in a human body, but I'm not a human being. We are divine self that came into the physicality here. You know, to me, like the face, the name, the history, the sex, any of it, it's like, it's not important. You are on a mission. You are the ambassador of the divine in this world. So that's a job. Like, this is a job. No one can pay you to do this job. That's what I mean, you know? That's why, like, I don't charge for any of these teachings and sessions, because when you are on a mission, you get paid by God. Oh yeah, every single day. You know, Yogananda, he never ever received any salary from all he was doing. He received gifts. People were gifting him. We are here to gift each other. Absolutely. If we are not gifting each other, then we are not fulfilling the mission of gifting. Gifting is a very important aspect of Divine Mother, you know. And so she doesn't like anyone to be just a free taker, you know. She likes everyone to have the love to give the world that she created here for us, and to care for it deeply, to care for the children. Now, it's important to live with that consciousness, to wake up in the morning and to say, I am my divine self. I only have room for that. My body, please attune to the fifth dimensional possibilities of this. Fully, you know, that's your armor. That's your armor in this world. You are in this world, you are not of this world. This lifetime, we didn't come here to be the typical lower human unconscious being. The thing is that we cannot really tackle this from the third dimensional unconsciousness. We just can't. You know, we can try as much as possible, but the human is very unconscious in general, constantly swinging. Now, this is huge. You know, this Divine Mother has been explaining this to me for years, and I always come to new level of understanding, new information. Last night, she told me that when I wake up in the morning, I will have new divine revelation. So I told my husband, I said, what else can come? And then it came. All of this came. And so this is the typical human mind. But neither of the sides are actually of greater value. They are both very misleading, you know. So when we think we are such an angel, but the other person is such a devil, then that is misleading. The key is to go to the divine self and unify this right and left, unify the polarities within us. That is enlightenment of the fifth dimensional self. So, you know, if we try to self-correct this from the third dimension, we can't win this battle within us, because there is no way that the human distorted mind can solve this problem. We simply need to embody the divine self. It is so simple. And so that's what we do here. And today is the key. Divine Mother always has been saying, you've seen this for years, if you have been listening to this, she always says, stop the pendulum from swinging. And so she has been explaining how this is, you know, who understands the Tao Te Ching. This is the story of the Tao Te Ching. Tao is the mother, and mother is asking for the end of this distorted duality. She always says duality, there's nothing wrong with duality. We have Divine Mother, we have Divine Father, that is a polarity. But she always says this constant judgment of the right and wrong, the big, the small, the old, the young, the pretty, the ugly, all of it is a constant swinging of the pendulum. All addictions are the swinging of the pendulum, constant seeking for something and going back to it. This is just constant motion. Going into the past, going into the future, this is swinging. So you see, it's pretty crazy, right? Because this is the typical human mind. So she says we need to stop this, because every thought creates a thing. Every thought becomes a thing. And so, you know, like to me, you know, this world, the biggest addiction, of course, there's so many of them, but one of the biggest one these days, truly the best created trap in this world is porn. And I've lost some friends over this because I've been trying to explain it. When people watch stuff like that, they are not just watching some lady or whatever guy on the screen. They are actually opening up to demonic forces that then possess the human being. And that is then hard to get rid of. I mean, how do you then, you're not battling an addiction, you're battling something much, much bigger. And that actually is part of every addiction in this world. And it could be, this world is full of addiction, but it's all about life force, life force, life force, life force. And so we are supposed to be the force of God, the liberator. We are supposed to be in this world on this massive mission. And that is, I am unshakable light in this world. That's it. Unshakable light. And it doesn't come as a decision of the three-dimensional human being. The three-dimensional human being can have aspirations, but it will be hard to actually pretend that you can handle this world as a three-dimensional human being. But it's very, very easy when you work your way up to your own being, which is the divine self. Now, this is the key. Your divine self is the fifth dimensional being. It is the original you that simply got disconnected when we ended up here, so anchored here, so trapped here. And so what do? As divine self says, go top down, go to the divine self, create some magic within the being, go into your highest body that you already have. So Yogananda before 2012 was teaching us the process, which was a very cool shortcut. Number one, we are releasing the human unconscious self with the fire of living God, the living fire of God. How amazing is that? I mean, look what he taught us. He's asking us to liberate our unconsciousness and turn it into consciousness. And all unconsciousness is wonderfully stored in the lower human self. That's where we have suffering. That's where we have not understanding. That's where we have pain. That's where we have things that lead to more and more suffering. And so we simply are asked to do something so easy. Now, again, I want to go here. So if we choose peace, joy, and love, those are great choices. They are all within the divine self. The I am presence, the same thing as divine self. So I got to meet my divine self as the divine self, so I like that term. And so the divine self is the voice of love within you. It's the choice of love within you. It is the unification of your own polarities. And what happens when we fully download this energetic body that we have? It's an energetic body. I do believe, all the Kriya Yoga of Yogananda, that all had to do with downloading fully this amazing energy into the nervous system, rewiring the brain, uplifting the human from all that was stuck in the density of the physical body that has many layers, of course. And so then you upgrade yourself to your divine self. The thing is that it is the easiest thing we can do these days. And it is the most wonderful thing we can do for your life, for everybody else's life, and for the collective. To be the light of God in this world, but to truly be it, So again, it's an energetic transformation. It is not a thought. And it is not just like saying, I'm choosing it. We become it. It is like downloaded into us, And when it downloads, some people experience it. And I'm going to use the words that everybody knows and is familiar with. It is, in a way, the Kundalini awakening. And, I don't like the word Kundalini, but because it's life force, it's divine rainbow light. We once again embody the fullness of our creation. We are all created equal. We all have the divine self. And so we want to dissolve very easily the personality self, and we're going to rise through that multidimensional spine within to our highest body, which is, there are layers. There are layers, and this is very good to look at the layers. This happened to me spontaneously one day where suddenly all these layers activated. And, I meditate a lot. I do a lot of stuff, but, I just want to say, you never know. You just never know if today is the day when all of this comes online for you. And then you are able to see through all of this. And of course, then you see through the illusion of the personality self and the nonsense of the human mind, constant right and left and the swinging, right? Seeking something that cannot be found. At that level, we cannot really find. But when we go to our divine self, we find. So today is what the divine self will be doing with us. I spent a lot of time in meditation today to be able to really get this, and then ask, what is it that we are doing today? And today we are actually asking the divine self to become our consciousness. Isn't that amazing? And then it's like all of us here just walk on water in this world, and we are a force to be reckoned with, because no longer is there fear. That's the thing. Fear is the true virus in this reality, right? Because people fear so much, worry so much. It is true mastery when we stop worrying about anything and everything and allow the divine self to just be the force of that consciousness that works through us. And so it even things like disease, like I always think, death, all of it, it's like fearlessness. Approach all your life with fearlessness of the divine self. There is no fear in the divine self. It doesn't exist. There is no notion of it. It is complete, utter love. And guess what? It is filled with divine confidence. So in this world, when people pray, they pray from the third dimensional unconsciousness, asking for some favors. But that is not divine confidence of the divine self. The divine self is not asking. The divine self is filled with so much confidence that it simply exerts its influence on all circumstances. When we come into the divine self, it is like Uncle Jesus just simply performing so-called miracles, transmuting all thought and saying it's not useful, because the human mind has a lot of useless thoughts. I always tell my human mind, if it steps in, sometimes I say, you are not useful. And so I let go. Burning it, surround yourself with the violet flame, claiming your divine self and asking your divine self to become more and more and more embodied into every cell of your being, so that you become really, in a way, this is the Christ consciousness that we embody. And so I'm going to play a super short recording. My husband made it. I asked him to, from Patricia's book, Who Am I? Why Am I Here? Where she explains how the divine self was descending. And so listen deeply for 5 minutes, and then we'll go into meditation. And so this is on YouTube. It's a very short video that we recorded. It's only 5 minutes. So it's from Patricia Coda-Robles' book, Who Am I and Why Am I Here? So let's go into like deep listening to comprehend what it is that we are working here with.
Our Father, Mother, God initially created their children within the highest dimensions of light. In these frequencies, there is no such thing as time or space. Only the eternal moment of now is relevant. But our Father, Mother, God wanted their children to learn how to become co-creators as quickly as possible. In order for that to happen, we needed to experience what we were co-creating through our thoughts, words, feelings, and actions in an accelerated manner. It was determined that this would occur most effectively within the denser frequencies of a time and space continuum. This meant that we needed to step our vehicles down into denser frequencies of vibration. To begin this process, our Father, Mother, God decreed that the aspect of our divinity that was created in the image and likeness of God would remain within the highest dimensions of God's infinite light. This was our white fire being and the immortal, victorious threefold flame blazing in its center. This step was taken in order to ensure our safe return when our learning experiences were complete. Our godparents invested our white fire beings with the responsibility of holding the immaculate concept, the divine blueprint, for our descent into the third dimensional world of form and our ascent back into the heart of our Father, Mother, God. Next, our God parents directed our masculine and feminine I am presences to descend into the densest dimension they could abide in while still remaining in the timeless, spaceless frequencies of light. This was the fifth dimension. After our I am presences were established in the frequencies of the fifth dimension, our Father, Mother, God directed them to project a stepped-down reflection of themselves into the denser frequencies of the fourth dimension. The fourth dimension is the first dimension that exists within a time and space continuum. It is much more rarefied than the third dimension, but it exists within the initial constraints of time and space. In compliance with the request of our Father, Mother, God, our I am presences projected stepped down masculine and feminine reflections of themselves into the fourth dimension. These two aspects of our divinity are called our solar Christ presences. Like our I am presences, our solar Christ presences have a sacred heart with a threefold flame, a solar spine, and 12 solar chakras. Because the fourth dimension is so much denser than the fifth dimension, the 12 solar aspects of deity reflect differently through the 12 chakras of our solar Christ presences. Instead of all 12 aspects of deity radiating out through each of the 12 chakras as they do in our I am presences, in our solar Christ presences, only one of the 12 aspects of deity radiates through each chakra. Since each chakra reflects only one aspect of deity, all 12 chakras must function together in order to form the circle of the sacred 12. After our solar Christ presences were securely established in the fourth dimension, the sons and daughters of God were ready for the final step of our descent into matter. This would involve our descent into the third dimension, which would be the most critical and most difficult part of our journey. Our Father, Mother, God directed our masculine and feminine solar Christ presences to project stepped-down reflections of themselves into the third dimension. This was the densest and most compressed frequency of time and space that the children of God would have to experience in order to become co-creators. These two aspects of our divinity are called our planetary Christ presences. A dramatic change occurs when light passes from the prism of the fourth dimension into the third dimension. When the fourth dimensional frequency of solar light is compressed into an even denser third dimensional frequency, the solar light is transformed into the pigment octave of physical light. We witness this when we pass a ray of sunlight through the prism of a crystal. The solar light is condensed into the sevenfold spectrum of physical light, and we see a rainbow on the other side of the crystal. When our solar Christ presences projected reflections of themselves into the third dimension to create our planetary Christ presences, the same thing happened. Instead of our planetary Christ presences having 12 chakras in the frequencies of the third dimension, they have only 7 chakras. These chakras reflect the 7 colors of the rainbow, beginning with the red root chakra at the base of the spine and ending with the violet crown chakra at the top of the head.
And so that was the explanation of the divine self, and how originally it was not meant to be a trap to be in the third dimension, but that we were supposed to have access all the way to the top of our divine self, of course. But this, I believe, Patricia wrote before all these changes took place. So now we have the circle of the sacred 12 available to every single one of us. And that's why I say every day connect with this. It is right here, right now, since 2020, 100% available to all of us. So that was Patricia Cota Robles from her book, Who Am I? Why Am I Here? And if anyone has the book, I'm sure that it was written before 2020 when these changes took place. And so now we have these 12 colors. This is what my divine self guided me to create. And these are the colors of the divine self. And so today, my friends, is our final initiation. To me, this is an initiation with our divine self. Now, all of us, I can see the divine selves very, very happy. And so we will be asking the divine self. Okay, thank you, Sandra. So it's a real long time ago before all the big changes took place. And I will be posting all the recordings from all the events that I didn't post today or tomorrow. So it's all about human time. And so today, consciousness, we are ready for this. And so is everyone ready to download fully the divine self, to become the consciousness of the divine self? I am ready. I am ready, and we are ready. We're doing it once again on behalf of all our brothers and sisters, because the divine self is available to all of us. And so now this is the true mission here. I don't want to call us missionaries, but in a way, yes, we are on a mission, big mission. And so I'm going to pause recording. And it is going to be a very good day and a very good night, every day and every night, when we connect to our divine self like this. So I see that about 700 of us have participated every day during this lunar cycle, because, you know, we have 2 groups, 2 calls, depending on time zone. Some people do both. So about 700 of us understand the importance of being the divine self. That is a very big quantum field of 700 divine selves. Now, I commit my life to the divine self and being here in this world with you. And I know you are committed to the same, to fully embodying your divine self, which is the highest body we can be. The 12 colors of the rainbow here expanding in this world. You are a force to be reckoned with, not the human self. That's a very nice self, but we are dissolving that one. It's okay. It served its purpose. But we are stepping into the highest of the highest. We all can do it, my friends. All of us can do it. It's the easiest thing we can do at this moment. It is a breath away. So what do? We ask. What do we ask for? Always to be the divine self, the divine confident self, the fearless self, the one who's always centered in God. Now, never enjoy the word God myself, but I got to meet, I'm just talking about this because I'm recording it. And so it's going to be on YouTube for others to also enjoy. So don't feel like you have to stay, I always say. It's just for me to be able to say stuff. And so I met the aspect of God as source. So in a way, the Brahma, there is no personality within that light. There is source light. That source doesn't even have a name. So I call it Brahma, just to give it some kind of yogic identity. But there is a source that is just pure light. From this source, all emanates. And when it emanates first as what we call the force of Divine Mother and force of Divine Father. So kind of we get the personalities, the identities, whatever we want to call them, the Shakti, the Shekinah, the Sophia, whatever we want to give them names, it's okay. But it is a force of Divine Feminine. And then there is a force of Divine Masculine. So I got to meet Divine Masculine in 2 forms so far. One of them was Shiva, and the other one was Vishnu. I have nothing to tell you about Vishnu. I'm exploring Vishnu right now. But I want to say, when we connect to whatever you want to connect to within this core creation, I do recommend centering yourself either in Divine Mother, centering yourself maybe in Shiva, in Shakti, in Sophia, in Shekinah, whatever you want to call it, or centering yourself in the light of source. It doesn't matter where we center ourselves. It's good to go straight to that level of consciousness. And then centering the mind, centering the presence, centering the heart, centering the words, centering the entire being that you are in that level of divinity. If we still need an intermediary, it's always wonderful to go through someone like Yogananda, but he will guide you not to himself. He too will guide you to that source level of consciousness. But again, we choose, right? Whatever speaks to us. But imagine what happens when we center ourselves right there. Then all that we are becomes the glory here right now. Yeah. So Yogananda for sure will introduce all of us to pure source consciousness. And then we speak, and then we do, and then we make decisions, and then we touch someone's life, not as like, I myself touched your life. No, the light of that divine perfection touches all of us. And actually always equally, it's just we making ourselves available. So when you meet Uncle Jesus in the ethers, our very good friend, we can learn from him too. And we learn from him one thing. We always see perfection of the divine self in all. So if we want to do any healing, any work in this work, we don't want to do it as the human self that is actually pretty contaminated with unconsciousness and also disempowered. The true power is within the divine self. So when we want to do anything in this world, number one, connect to your divine self. Yes. And then see the perfection in all as the divine self and speak to that level of everybody else's being. I speak to your divine self. You heal the person by speaking to that divine self, if that's what you do, you know? So if anyone is struggling, that is the human unconscious self struggling, but the divine self never struggles. And it is available to all of us today, like never ever before. And that's not true because once upon a time it was, but you know, in the civilization. And so this is amazing. So we have the end of our lunar cycle today. So we will repeat at 5 p.m. The next event will be the new moon on April 20th. And so what do I recommend doing? Maybe going back to some of the replays on YouTube, but not necessary. Number one, transmuting, maybe following the 4 steps with Yogananda that are so great and lead to all of this. They lead to all of this. Calming down the pendulum of the human mind by downloading your beautiful divine self, remembering you are here to anchor the light of source into this world. And that we are now more than ever before able to do this with one breath. So using some breathing techniques, maybe centering yourself, remembering that through you life force runs. We want to be free. Working with this album if you have it, of course, because we want to learn what it feels like to be the divine self. Choosing the highest reality and helping others to choose as well. Again, we cannot help others on the human level. You know, when you talk to the human self, again, doesn't really understand stuff, but the divine self really does. Chanting, aligning yourself in meditation with these new energies, always rising to the divine self and connecting with the ultimate consciousness, in which, of course, again, we dissolve. We do dissolve. Thank goodness we dissolve. And always choosing peace, joy, and love. Again, the human self has a hard time with this because the human self sometimes sinks very deep. Fear is only contained in the human self. The divine self has no fear because it has divine confidence in its ability to affect life. The divine self knows who the divine self is. And so it works on that level to have an amazing effect on life. And we call it miracles. And so it is. So thank you for journeying here, being the divine self in this world. You know, I would say you are on a big, big mission. There are beings who count on you to contain this level of divinity in this world. And so it is. Thank you so much. Many blessings.